Hi, g'day, my name's Mason Taylor. I'm currently a pastor out at Freeway Christian Life Centre, which is a Baptist church down in Chelsea. I'm married to Sandy Taylor and have been for 18 years. And we have 3 cracking kids, Amy and Katie and Locke, and we've been living down in Chelsea now for 2 years and really enjoying it. My story began actually in Melbourne. I was born in Ferntree Gully, and at the age of 6 my family moved up to Yackandandah, which is a town about 30 kilometres south of Wodonga, border town up there. And essentially that's where I grew up. That was the context in which I grew up. It's a rural farming community, big on farming and big on football, so these two cultural mixes. And it was in that context too that God was kind of presented to me, but also challenged. But as I grew up in that area, I also came into contact with a man by the name of Ian Sproul. He was a returned POW, prisoner of war, rat of Tobruk, 9th Divi, you know, kind of a real man's man, and I liked him a lot. I also liked his daughter, so that's how we came into contact. But he would continuously put up before me who Jesus was and where he was in my life and what I was going to do with this guy Jesus. I'm not too sure whether he was more concerned about my soul or his daughter's soul, but he was dedicated to kind of discipling me and taking me through the claims of Jesus. It was in his front yard on a dusty road in Ben Valley, which is a suburb of Yackandandah, that I gave my heart to Jesus, and God saved me, called me into his grace. That was back in 1988, and I've been on a joyful, yes, if you like, a journey of faith ever since then. In 1994, I moved from Yackandandah into Wodonga, and it was in Wodonga where I came into contact with Reverend Dr. Graham Smith. And his preaching and his teaching just brought the Bible alive for me and brought the scriptures alive, and began a passion for knowing the Bible and understanding it, and also being able to teach it again. And he was quite an influential figure in my life. I also ran a bricklaying business during that time. I'd run my own business for about 10 years, and in about 2004, God started to begin a discontent in my life and call me into what I believe now is the pastoral ministry. It was kind of painful, and it took a little while for me to be drawn out of an industry in which I had a very strong identity and knew who I was, and to kind of just let it all go and move into an area, a life as a student, where I had no idea who I was. But God was kind of asking me, you know, who is it you love more, me or yourself, was the question that kept coming up. In 2006, I began to study at Melbourne School of Theology, which was BCV back then. And then during that time, my call to pastoral ministry firmed up. And it wasn't too long after finishing there that I found myself here at Whitley with these fine folks, being shaped for pastoral ministry and the life in that context. Here at Whitley, one of the conversations, or one of the realizations that I've come to, is that this call into ordination is not so much for me about the work I will do for God, but has been about the work that God has been doing in me. A work to know him and to understand him, and out of that knowing and understanding to then minister out of that relationship essentially, and then to bring that as best I can into my context of ministry. So it's been an interesting road, but it's been an enjoyable one, and I'm looking forward to the next part of this journey and ordination.